Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Videomail for the week of May 2nd, 2011. Thank you for being here at the site. Thank you for supporting the site. I'm having a great time. And welcome to all the new members. I spoke at the Evolve CG conference this weekend on Sunday, and you may notice that there are some new members here from the conference, from the schools in the area of Orlando, Florida. Please give them a warm welcome them in the forums, and encourage each other and support each other just like you've always been doing. And it just, it always improves the site when more people come and contribute. So welcome to all the new members. This is the Ask Video Mail. This is your chance to get your question on character animation or performance answered in a video mail that is done weekly by me. So if you have a question, if you're stuck, send your question to me, to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones I think will help the most students, and it's the best way to interact with this site. So if you're here on your trial period, you can still get plenty of value out of the site by asking a question for the video mail. If you haven't noticed already, How to Cheat in Maya 2012 was announced this month by Focal Press. Great company to work for, great publisher, and it is on pre-sale actually right now on Amazon.com. All you have to do is just go to Amazon and search for How to Cheat in Maya, and it'll pop right up. Eric Luta and I co-authored this version of the update to the 2010 version, and it's filled with plenty of new information, and it's we're very proud of it. It's a good read. I am ramping up here at the studio. A lot of new work coming in. So if you are an animator and you're looking for work, if you are at least junior animator skill level, I might want to see what you can do. So send your reels to me. The best way actually is to send me a URL, just info@arconics.com. Just send a URL and a resume and just a brief hello introduction, and I'm going to be going through some reels in the coming weeks, so that's kind of exciting. If you are anxious to hang out, we have plenty of chances in the future. I'm going to be at SIGGRAPH in Vancouver. I'm also going to be at the Animation Mentor Barbecue. Plenty of chances to hang out and talk and chat and have a great time, so that'll be fun. The testimonial program is still going. If you look on the left side of the screen, there is a link that says bonus. That is all the bonus programs that are available on the site. Even if you're on a trial membership right now, you can earn bonus time and extend that free time that you have right now. So testimonial, if you write a testimonial, you get 5 days free. If you refer members, you can still refer members if you're on a trial period. If you refer a member that signs up for a 30-day subscription, then you get 30 days free. Same if they sign up for 3 months, but you get 60 days free if they sign up for a year. So there's a lot of programs in place for you to earn free time at the site. So let's get to it. This is the Ask Video Mail, and this is this week's question. What a great question! Oh, I love this question. This reminds me of a story. When I was at ILM, the very beginning of my career, I was an apprentice at ILM, and they were doing all of these R&D things. Like they had this ambient occlusion renderer. They had this new IK system they were checking out. I remember they were animating in Softimage, but there was the pod race team that did everything in Maya. So there's all this like exciting stuff going on when I was there. And I remember I was poking around, probably where I shouldn't have been, on the database, and I pulled up this animation of this. It looked like a goblin or like an elf, but like he had snarly teeth and pointy ears. And when I think about it now, it looked a lot like Dobby, but it couldn't have been Dobby because they just had started visual effects on the first Harry Potter when I was there. So I don't know what it was, but it was a dialogue test, and I cannot remember the line, but the head movement was so subtle, and the little head tilts and the little movements in the head really told a story. In fact, I knew it told the story so much because it was just a render that I watched. So it didn't have sound attached. It was just the images. But there was such a story told by this. And I showed it to my mentor, a woman named Jen, and I said, this is the dopest animation I've ever seen. What is this? Who did this? And she said, womp womp, that's actually facial motion capture. And I said, oh, so that's interesting. So in kind of in line with what Kevin has brought up here, that the only way it seems to get those subtleties, those subtle little hints and tilts is in video reference. It's kind of true. When you're doing it and you're performing it, you can pepper them in, and I'll tell you just a second like when and how to do it, and you can like pepper them in. But really, the only way to get the super accurate ones, the super like right on the money, like perfect, realistic performance, like that subtle quality, is really by watching a video reference and copying video reference, and obviously the facial motion capture would have picked that up too. Now, when you're performing it on your own, and let's say the line is, you can do whatever you want. You can do, pause, whatever you want. Normally, you can pretty much get away with peppering in those tiny little head shakes and head tilts whenever a person is searching for the word. If you look at the lip sync lecture that's in the archive right now, you'll notice that a big part of lip sync reading is actually the body and the head animation and not the lips at all. Like, for instance, laughing. I see a lot of people key laughing like this. Ha, 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 ha. That looks really weird, right? All you have to do is open the mouth and then get the body moving. Ha, 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 ha. Right? The mouth wasn't moving at all, but it works, right? Because we take our visual cues for certain parts, certain kind of inaudible or unspoken cues from the body. Okay, so same thing with searching for a word. How would you keyframe searching for the word whatever? You might like purse your lips a couple times, like you can do whatever you want, right? But that seems a little forced. It's a little bit better if you take that movement out of the lips and put it back into the head, neck, and shoulders. So change the line to, you can do whatever you want. Get a little closer so you can see the subtlety here. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, right? Just that tiny little, and it accelerates and then it kind of like releases. And that's a good way to key it as well, to kind of like build it up and release it. You can do whatever you want, okay? And it's nice if you blend it with, blend it into the rest of that animation. So it's not, you can do shake, 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 whatever you want. It's actually the shake kind of blends with that nod at the end. One more time. You can do whatever you want. Okay? So you can just pepper those into your dialogue and see how it fits and works. And yes, actually the answer, Kevin, is kind of, you have to watch video reference. You at least have to act it out yourself. And the best way to preserve, that really good performance that you just did, that, oh my God, I wish it looked like that, is to videotape the dang thing. And then you have the tape and you're ready. So video reference is super, super important for those tiny little anchors. They're called anchors in the lip sync lecture. And you should check it out if you haven't already. I also wanted to bring up, this is the shot that is the finished version of the workflow walkthrough. Just one more time if you haven't watched that lecture already. He basically tilts his head left and right looking at this little platform before he decides to jump on top of it. One thing I just wanted to point out was that the moving hold in the head is timed. Basically, if you look at the moving hold, compare the moving hold in the body to the moving hold in the head kind of stays a little bit more still than the body does. It's almost as if you kind of want to counter-animate the head against the moving hold in the body when you're doing little subtle tilts. Okay, and you guys have this Maya file. You can just go into the lecture section, download the zip file. It has this Maya file in it, and you can take a look. Okay, but it's almost as if the head, not really on this last one, but that's okay because the last one he's kind of losing the focus. But the point here is that that's what it is, focus. So if you look, it feels like he's actually looking with purpose and not just kind of lollygagging around if you have the head a little bit more still than the body. So that would be my only other tip. Yes, kind of the answer is you've got to go to video reference. You have to act it out. If you're too shy to act stuff out at this point, you really need to do things that can break you out of your shell, really get you comfortable acting, you know, at least for yourself in front of camera. Improv class is perfect for that. Find an improv class in your city if you've never done it before. I promise it's not as hard as it looks. It is just an experience in coming out of your shell, and it's not forced. It's not torture. It's actually a really freeing experience. You think when you're watching an improviser, you think to yourself, "Man, they must be thinking so fast, so much on their feet." You know, the best improvisers are not thinking at all. They're just standing there and they're letting the instant that something happens to them, they're just letting an honest reaction come out. And that's really, really fantastic, especially for gathering reference for animation. But anyway, back to this. You'll see that when you open up the file, in fact, let me just go to the curves here. Oops, okay. Especially in this one. These two look like they're flat tangents, which is okay. But if you look at this one, there's actually a tiny little bit, I'm going to zoom in on it right here, there's actually a tiny little bit of rotation here. All right, mostly in the rotate Y, which is, let me see here, rotate Y would be like this, right? And just that little amount makes it feel like the head is there and the body might be like cruising like this, but it's actually very, very focused. So one thing you can do is combining that with like little head shakes is you have the body moving, but really have that head locked and focused on top of, you know, what it's looking at. One way that you could really do this nicely is with animation layers. And so I'm not going to actually animate it because it would take, you know, I'm not Superman, all right? It would take an hour or so to get something, you know, perfect for this. But let me just, I'm going to open up Bloke here and I'll show you what I mean in terms of having a animation layer that kind of just does that little subtle head tilt. And I think what you'll find is that it's a lot easier to keep everything, you know, keep track of everything when you break it up like this. Okay. So basically the way animation layers work is if you create a base layer. So let me just I'm gonna key him basically tilting up. Well, that's funny. These controls don't actually have they're not in the same object space. Okay, that's okay. So I'm going to have him anticipate up just a little bit, and then over 48 frames, let's delete this one, slowly down. All right. However, I'm going to counter animate the head so that the head stays facing forward, like this. All right. So now what you can do is you can add an animation layer with the objects selected. All you have to do is go to the animation layer tab, which is over here, and then click on this. And this puts the selected objects into a new animation layer. Your base animation layer, if you select base animation, is the animation that you put on this key or on this the object already. And then if you go to the new anim layer, you'll notice that, for instance, what I can do is I can set a key, and I can put a key like over here, and then back over here, all right? And if I dial up and down the weight, it actually blends in and out of that keyframe I just set. Okay, so let's delete all these keys. Okay, and now let's go ahead and let's see here. I'm going to set a key right here, and then I'm just going to key a little bit of a straight ahead head shake right here. All right. What you'll notice is, first of all, this is all the animation that's in this animation layer right now, which is awesome. And what I'm able to do, why is that so high? What I'm able to do is to actually blend in and out of this as well. So you can imagine if I'm doing this little head tilt, oops, I turned the weight all the way down. No big deal. Just going to turn the weight all the way up. You can imagine if you were doing a piece of animation where you really wanted to have that level of subtlety that you see in the video reference, where it's like, wow, that's like super, super subtle. A great way to do it would be anim layers, because look what I can do now. Let's say that I think that this is way, way, way too much, right? What am I going to do? All you have to do is key the weight of the animation layer. So let's go back to the graph editor and I'll show you. If you select the animation layer and hit this little K button, it actually keys the weight. Now, if you select the object, the animation layer basically loads up and all the channels load up inside that animation layer. If you select weight, you see that I've keyed the weight right here. It's not quite intuitive because there's a small little K right here, and keying the weight is only visually represented well in the graph editor, but that's okay. So now by this frame, let's say about halfway through, I want it to be full weight. So let's move this key over here, and let's move this key down, and let's flat that tangent, and then let's bring it back down so it's an even more subtle return to normal. Let's flat all these. All right, so now we're going in and out of that head shake, and it's even more subtle. Okay, still a little bit too much, right? So let's just dial it down until we're happy with the size of it. Let's say that it only gets about, I don't know, maybe a third. There we go. Cool, right? And now it's also a little fast. So let's just grab all those keys. I'm just going to scale them so they're a little slower. Okay, so now you can imagine if this was a person leaning forward and saying, like, you can do whatever you want. You could key this just normal, very smooth animation on the body. You can do whatever you want. And then just key the head, shaking back and forth, and using the weight on that animation layer, dial it in and out. You can do whatever you want. So here we go. Here's our animation now. I'm gonna narrate this, pretend like he's actually saying it. You can do whatever you want. Let's take a little quick. Okay. All right, one more time. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. See that? So it's a really nice way to build up those actual animation layers without making destructive changes to the animation you've done already on the body, because the body really is the master. If you're not keying the body really as like the main goal is to get that body looking sweet, your animation is always going to fall a little bit flat. Okay? So in keeping with my advice in last month's article and the video mail from last week, I want you to take a really quick look, like 48 frames, whatever, just do a little test with animation layers and see how much they could help you with what you're currently working on, is if they could be an asset to you right now. Okay, we talk a lot in How to Cheat in Maya 2012 on animation layers, and I even do a pretty cool, I think, secondary action little chapter on and using animation layers. I think you're really going to like it. Okay? Great question, Kevin. Yes, look into your video reference and look really, really closely at your own video reference for those subtle head tilts. You can pretty much safely, though, pepper them in whenever someone's searching for a word or doesn't know what to say or hitches or pauses, which is an anchor, as pointed out in the lip sync lecture, we should go check out as well. Look forward to the Evolve lecture coming out on kennyroy.com in a few weeks. I'm going to be posting everything I did there here, and you're going to love it. I know it. All right? Great question. Thank you. Send in your questions if you'd like them answered in a video mail in the future. The email address to send them to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. I look through all the questions and I answer the ones I hope will help the most people. And thanks again from the bottom of my heart for being here, being a member of the site, and supporting the site. It's great, and I'm just going to keep on doing it until I can't do it anymore. Alrighty? Good luck with your work, and as always, rock on.